Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Are we sitting or standing?
I don't think I'm good at sitting.
We don't go to sitting. It's great to be here with you today. This is our second public policy day. We had no idea what was going on, and we showed up last year, and we realized something really quickly is that there's a conversation going on amongst the people that show up here that is disconnected from dealers more than it should be, is disconnected from the consumer more than it should be. And as I guess the term now we're saying is new media, right? Like new media is the thing, and when we see the power of new media, we've built Automotive State of the Union. It came out of the COVID pandemic in an effort to bridge that gap between what's actually happening on the front lines of dealerships and what consumers are saying. I think Senator Moreno just said it. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of interactions every day across dealerships in this country where they're talking to the consumer face to face. And a lot of times when policy decisions happen, there's a disconnect between what they're saying and what is able to be collected about what they think. And so we've been able to partner with traditional media like automotive news and CBT media to try to bridge the gap. And the reality is what we're trying to do, and I think what the real essence of new media is that it doesn't operate in talking points. Instead, it operates in personality, and it allows people to unpack why they feel the way they feel instead of us just hearing what exactly they feel.
Yeah, when we set out to create a podcast or create a show or create any sort of media, our goal is always to expose the human interaction of that. You can sit here all day and see the people on stage, and there's some level of disconnect that you can have from those people. Right? Hey, that's just the senator. Oh, that's just the reporter. Or even more, that's just the consumer in California that I've never met. Or even more, that's the policymaker that I've never met. And what we know is that when you have that like arm's distance away from people, you start to make judgment calls about their reasoning, about their perspective, about their story of origin that doesn't allow you to enter into a space with them of conversation. So that's why we exist kind of from this new media perspective. And we love to create podcasts. We love to have conversations. We love to go to actual stores. One of the things that we love about being in this new media side of the world is we don't really have a yes or no switch. So one of the yes switches that we have is we go around to places all over the country, cities all over the country, and we love to go just walk, let's say downtown Nashville from where I'm from, and we'll have a mic and have a camera, and people love to be in front of mics and cameras. I don't know if you knew that. They actually hate it. They hate it. But we're really good at convincing people, and we'll just pick a random person off the street. And we'd like to ask them about the first car they bought, the first car they drove, how they're, where they bought their last car, all those type of things. And we always ask the same two questions near the end of the conversation. And the first question is something like, how was your last time you bought a car, right? And literally, I think we've done, upwards of 20 of these at this point over the last year. Every single one of them to this point, now we could have just like gotten really lucky, but 20 of random strangers on streets, 100% of them have said, oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. I bought the car. I told all the people. My salesperson was great. Every single one of them. We then follow it with a question. The question is, what do you think about car dealers? And that question is always met with this one right here. And so we know as an industry, in the automotive industry in particular, we haven't done ourselves any service in broad scale caring for the consumer conversation, the manufacturer conversation, the policy conversation in a way that allows us to not be at arm's length with each other, but be sitting in the same room. And so our goal in coming here is to sit in the same room. We've got a podcast stage out there. We just had Bernie Moreno talking about his son's Ford Raptor, and then also having those same conversations in our Amazon Prime series, More Than Cars.
Going to get interactive for a second. How many people in here have ever purchased a car from like a new car dealer? So a lot of the room, I'm saying 3/4 of the room at least. If you could keep your hand up for just 1 second. Now, put your hand down if you did not like the dealer? I heard one hand hit a table.
We heard a slap, actually.
We're going to talk afterwards. We're going to help. I think that is a common tale to what Kyle was saying. And I think, it's fitting that we're in DC right now because I think there are some critical similarities through how people sometimes treat a dealer and a politician. It's like politicians, oh, they're crooks. Well, except for mine. Right? Oh, dealers, they're crooks, except for mine, they're a really good guy. And I think same goes for, I think, some of the other ones, right? Like, go down the list.
There's a few of those.
Yeah, I'll stop talking before I get in trouble. But the reality is that many of the people in here have a very, very hard job. And I think one of the things that is intended in government and intended with regulation is to protect people, is to make sure that we get the things that we want, which are things like choice, not being ripped off. And the hard job is, again, it's that distance between the consumer and getting enough information from them that is unfiltered, that is not, led in a series of questioning. When we ask questions, we try not to lead, right? Like you could, hey, if you could buy a car completely online, would you?
Always, I'm gonna
sure,
say yes.
Why not?
Why not?
Right? And then it's like, well, what did you like best about your last car purchase? It's like, oh, that I got to go to the store and get it. So there's a distance between how you ask the questions and why. And we're just advocates for increased communication, which is why we choose the media lanes that we do. Saying we're not biased would be disingenuous. Kyle and I both came up through the auto industry, kind of through different paths. I built a business on the fixed operations side of the business, and then built an agency. Kyle, worked in stores. He was trained, came through the traditional path to the point where he was managing stores. So there's definitely a bias and a noted bias that we happen to think that the best leaders, the best community developers that we know, the people who develop their people and that pay the best, that cultivate relationship, they just happen to be car dealers. And so there's a bias there. Maybe it's because it's the people that we know, which is why we're trying to do that with the Amazon show. If I asked my children, if they were in a place that they were unfamiliar with and there was a police station and there was a car dealership, they would go to the car dealership first because they would say, well, there are good people there that will help me. And so as we go throughout today, really, we hope to be part of the bridge. So feel free to come up and ask us questions. Use us as a resource. If you have something, a message you need to get out, please leverage the media network, leverage the relationship. We're here to serve all of you. We're here to serve the consumer in the end. Our goal, I think, is the same. And it's that we have a thriving industry and we have thriving consumers in a thriving country. So again, we are here to serve and we're here to help you however we can.
Yeah, I'll land with one more thing is, hey, we know that there are bad actors out there in every industry, just like Paul was saying, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's bad actors. They've just got the lion's share of the media, especially in auto. And so, what you can know about us is that we're not just coming to Public Policy Day. We're not just telling the narrative of these great dealers. We do a lot of work inside the retail side of the auto industry to shine a light on the best actors in the industry, the most progressive, the ones that are challenging in tech and employee communications and even culture and community activities within their communities, so that we can bring up the bottom, because those bad actors either need to be weeded out or they need to be shown a better path to business. And so that's going to be great for consumers. It's going to be great for the manufacturers who are asking their dealers to be better for their customers. So we operate on both sides of that. We want to look to the industry and say, be the absolute best you can, challenge convention. But we also want to look to culture, to you in this room, to the people that are at this auto show, and say, hey, look, there's a story about car dealers. There's a story about the automotive industry that you may not have heard, that you may not have seen, and you might want to tune into it. So imagine today, the rest of your day, the rest of this afternoon, the next few days, as you walk the halls of the auto show, what conversations, what things, what perspectives, what stories of origin have you maybe not considered? And pause, reserve judgment for just a moment, try and consider another perspective. And it might turn out that you find a lot more similarity and commonalities with the people across the conversation than you maybe thought before.
And because we're new media, it means we kind of can do what we want sometimes.
We
which
do
means
these things.
We can take a selfie with
Everybody
everybody.
stand up.
in it.
Everybody
Oh, he's
stand
gonna
up.
get
Stand up.
everybody
Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
No, you're going to make him stand up.
I'm going to make them stand up just like that.
He's
Because
more new media than I
They're
am.
going to go to a
I'm too
coffee
polite.
break anyway. They're going to go to a coffee
is
break
that what's
anyway.
next?
Yeah, so they wanted to
We're
stand
going to
up.
flip to John next. And I do want to thank John. John's like, I don't want to get in this picture.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Come on, get in this picture. Let's go. So you're going to kind of put your hands up and go like this.
One.
Say policy day. 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, guys. I know.
Thanks,
I know.
everyone.
It's one of those.
Appreciate you having
Thank
us.
you for
We'll
having
be back
us today.
in just a moment.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kyle.